In any organization, uncertainty is everywhere. Factors both internal and external may have substantial impact on an organization's goals and objectives. External factors such as consumer sentiment and industry outlooks are largely out of an organization's control, while internal factors such as IT security, ethics, and financial compliance are within an organization's control, and the substantial security, ethical, and regulatory risks they pose can be mitigated. The policies and procedures used to manage these risks are called internal controls. At the enterprise level, governance controls and internal controls may be separated, leading to miscommunication, inefficiency, and an inability to deliver value to stakeholders. Using the COBIT 5 governance framework for internal controls can streamline and eliminate these inefficiencies by aligning controls with business objectives and by creating a cohesive methodology across the governance, risk, and compliance functions. Internal controls are established via a control environment. COBIT 5 supports this environment through enablers. In COBIT, a control is any enabler that supports the achievement of one or more objectives, or control objectives. Control objectives are achieved through control practices, such as the responsible use of resources, appropriate management of risk, and alignment of IT with business requirements. Further supporting the objectives are control activities, which are used by enterprises to mitigate identified risks. Enterprises use the enablers presented in COBIT 5 to carry out these activities. COBIT 5 enablers are a key component in the control environment. For example, an enabler such as principles, policies, and frameworks should offer guidance on the correct actions to take when a control deficiency is discovered. In the control environment, stakeholders, risk, and objectives are clearly defined. Gaps in control coverage are easily identifiable, and internal audit planning is optimized to support stakeholder needs. In the control environment, ownership of control objectives can be illustrated through roles, activities, and relationships within COBIT. In the control environment, stakeholders delegate their needs to the governing body, which then takes ownership of those requirements. The governing body remains accountable and directs management to plan, build, run, and monitor the controls required. Management instructs and aligns operations to execute those controls and report their results. The results are monitored by the governing body, which then reports on its accountability to the stakeholders. The life cycle of an internal control exists in 4 phases. Controls are selected, then implemented, then monitored, and finally, evaluated for optimization or reselection in an update phase. This iterative approach allows controls to keep up with changing business goals and react to a landscape that is influenced by new technologies, evolving business processes, or changes in organizational structures. For practitioners, selecting controls is often complex, but broadly speaking, the control selection process can be broken down into 3 phases where goals are identified, opportunity and risk gaps are determined, and coverage is identified. It may be helpful to consult COBIT 5 enabling processes for guidance on selecting controls for your environment. Let's look at applying COBIT 5 to the control selection process in an IT security setting. Say an audit has recently determined the enterprise lacks a security risk treatment plan. Using COBIT 5, one can refer to APL 13.02, Define and manage an information security risk treatment plan that is aligned with organizational goals and enterprise architecture. This plan will guide the creation of policies and procedures that mitigate information security risks. The policies and procedures will allow the enterprise to develop implementation proposals, supported by a business case that outlines roles and responsibilities. Then, the control design should be assessed through the development of management practices and solutions. In this audit case, the control can be monitored by leveraging existing security prevention and detection measures. As you monitor, periodically assess the effectiveness of the plan through key performance indicators for the selected management practices. It is also imperative to maintain an inventory of solution components in place within the enterprise architecture. Finally, it is important to create awareness of the risk through training programs. As illustrated in this example, using COBIT 5 to align controls with business objectives and architecture streamlines the control environment, while achievement of business goals is supported and the ability to identify risk is enhanced, providing value to stakeholders enterprise-wide. For more information on internal control using COBIT 5, or to build your enterprise team or individual skill set through ISACA Learning Solutions, visit www.isaca.org/IC with COBIT 5.